it seemed like you saw this coming early. You took the early timeout, you made the big substitution. Like, what were you seeing then, what were you seeing then, I guess?
I mean, all we really have, and this could be all year long, all I've really, besides offense and defense, all I've really tried to coach and get these guys to understand is sort of, the grit and the fight you got to have, and the willingness and the eagerness to just be involved in that. And that is part of this growth, as you go through in this league. You got to have that. We got to have that first and foremost. And, this is an unbelievably difficult job because it's the Mountain West. And there's really good teams and really good players, and the league's really good. And, you have to learn that, as you're not, getting what you want, I know that doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that you have that sort of determination and the fortitude to just come out every single night like we did on Saturday at Wyoming. And what's bothersome to me and what I have to correct and why we're concentrating on is because you got to have that every single night to really ever make the progress that we're looking to make. And that's what we got to take away from this. Part of this situation is you're going to live through that with some of these young guys to learn, you got to fight. And I actually believe tonight that they were there, the other team was there. I don't know if they wanted to be involved in that kind of fight, and that's really why I sort of saw what I saw and said, I see an opponent possibly that I don't know how much they want to be involved in the fight. And it's not nothing against them. They're able to figure it out over 40 minutes, and something else might have happened. But the pace of the game, the way the game was being played, to me was to our advantage, And when we get to be where we're have that kind of grit and that fortitude, well, then that's when we turn a game that had that kind of pace and the slowness to it, where we're playing fast offensively and we're making them play slow on their own offense. And then we learn how to make that be a winnable game because of the way that it was being played. But again, you got to come out and know that you got to play a certain way. And I didn't see that. To the guys' credit that I put in, they really came out and did a really good job. Made it 15-13. We then got some good shots and didn't put them in, and we didn't make shots the whole night. But at that juncture we didn't. And everything I'm saying is so important because for Air Force, those guys that came in the game, Cam and Carter and Jeff Mills, they needed the starters' help tonight. You know what I mean? Like at Air Force, we got to have everybody on board with what I'm talking about here. Doesn't mean you're making every shot. It doesn't mean, but you're on board with that because if we had that tonight, then at that juncture when they had done their job, and you sort of go back to those guys and they're into the game that way, well then they help those guys, right? And that's what a team is, and we just didn't have that tonight. And again, that's how I look at it. I saw it. Tried in this beginning of the second half to say, okay, let's do it again. But the beginning of the same half, if you look at the first the first 5 minutes of both halves, we're probably down 14 in that time frame. And I don't know, somebody could probably look at it, but we can't, we can't have that. So, and I thought Lucas and Nick, in this league, what they have to battle with every time, they were out there battling, and if you can do that, and if we have everybody's help and everybody's doing that, then Lucas and Nick are battling Robinson and the other 7-footer they put in there, and then they're getting sort of built up from, and have the nerve to keep fighting like that because their teammates are doing it, So, but I thought they were fine, those guys, because that's a challenge, and that's what this league presents.
Yeah. Are you getting a little concerned about Ethan that just he hasn't recaptured?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jim Arthur just said, A.J. Walker, and you could throw A.J. in there at this juncture. I'm just saying because they were 1 for 11 today. They were 1 for 11, and at Wyoming they were 9 for 29. So no matter what, I don't know what program in the country can survive two starters who are they could be our two leading scorers. You know, Jake now is inched up there, but two of your top leading scorers going 10 for 40, and then you're saying we're playing the teams we're playing. You know what I mean? So my concern again is really just the ability mentally. You know what I mean? Obviously there's a physical component to it, but the ability mentally to just keep developing that habit and the wherewithal to just keep pushing through. Just keep pushing through. Everything's not going to be great. Like I said, whoever thinks this is going to be easy, whoever thinks this is going to happen like in whatever amount of time, I would not even be thinking about that stuff. I'd just be zeroing in on, okay, this is the challenge. Here's step one, developing that kind of consistency that we're talking about right now. And that's really what it is. It's that kind of consistency, sort of mentally, physically, not having to have things go your way. You know what I mean? They're not going to go our way. You know what I mean? And if that's part of this experience, and learning to be like, that's okay. I don't need things to go my way. You know, I know the way that I got to be. And if you're like that, you wake up one day, you know, whatever that time frame is, well, and boy, you're like that. And you look to your right and you look to your left and they're like that. And you look around the whole huddle and they're like that. You know what? And that's when one day, you know, you take that step, you take that jump. And sometimes you know you have games like this, and maybe this will be the game we look back at one day. You know what I mean? If we get to be like that, maybe you look back at one day. You know, you remember that game when that wasn't us, and that was part of the growth process for these guys. I know that's how I'm going to approach it. You know, I'm going to remember this game. You know, and I'm going to try to remember it to sort of teach us. All right, these are the things we got to do to make sure that we always remember this game, you know, and use it to help us.
I'm just curious, you know, obviously Coach was not happy with the offense early. He called timeout within the first maybe minute and a half and then made a wholesale substitution. Like, what was he saying at that point that he was saying that you guys weren't doing?
Just no energy. We came out flat, and it was just, we started off terrible. And whenever we made the subs, we got back into it again. So I think it was just more of an energy thing, and we just didn't hit shots.
When you guys are playing like that, what are some answers you can turn to?
Just hit shots, basically. Cut hard, just keep moving, and play as good of defense as you can, and just try to bring energy as much as you can. I mean, that's something you can do every game. So you miss shots some games, but you can bring energy every game. So
I know, you know, you've individually had a good run now, but collectively, kind of, what's the frustration level of the team?
I mean, obviously we want to win, but we just need to keep getting better in practice and just keep bringing energy as much as possible and playing our hardest every game.
And has there been a key to you? I mean, putting up points consistently now?
No, I just try to bring energy like Coach says, and try to play as hard as I can every game.